60 Minutes Rewind.
When you mention the name Bon Jovi, you're really talking about two things. It's the name of one of the most famous rock bands in the world, and it's also the name of its frontman and lead singer, Jon Bon Jovi. Either way, after a quarter of a century in the spotlight, you're still talking about one of the most successful acts in music history. Since emerging from the clubs of the New Jersey Shore a decade after Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi has sold just as many records around the world, but without the fanfare and critical acclaim. And none of it would have happened without the founder, Jon Bon Jovi, showman, salesman, philanthropist, sportsman, and clear-eyed CEO who is very much an anomaly in the music business. On a hot New Jersey day last July, Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands was filling up for a live Earth benefit featuring some of the most famous rock stars on the planet. A few thousand feet overhead, Jon Bon Jovi, one of the main headliners and the crowd's favorite, was surveying his domain.
I mean, this is my hometown stadium. I'm so crazy about this building.
And with good reason. In this day and age, there are only a handful of groups that can fill a football stadium, and Bon Jovi has done it here 8 times.
When I'm just driving down Route 3 6 months from now, I'll drive by it and say, "Hello, baby. Hello, mama. I'll see you soon."
A half an hour later, he is on the ground and in the dressing room, chugging little bottles of ginseng as the rest of the band goes through its pre-concert routine.
What are you doing right now?
Getting my muscles a little warmed up.
We got a picture with you guys?
After a few pictures with his fans, more than 50,000 people will get what they've been waiting for. It was the beginning of another good run in a very long career that has been full of them. His 10th album, Lost Highway, was #1 on the Billboard charts, and he was just beginning another world tour that's expected to gross more than $250 million before it ends this summer.
This has been a very good year for you.
I haven't had a bad year since the doctor slapped me on the ass.
He's not bragging, just commenting on his own incredible good luck. He was born John Francis Bon Jovi, an hour's drive from the Meadowlands, to a father who was a Marine turned hairdresser and a mother who was a Marine turned Playboy bunny. It explains the good looks and the discipline he needed to survive the stigma of being one of the original 1980s hair bands.
You know, you gotta laugh. You gotta have some fun with it. Or, you know, I've jokingly said I'm responsible for the hole in the ozone layer.
He's still trying to live it down, and it probably hasn't helped his street cred.
Do you think you've gotten the respect that's due?
Well, that depends on, you know, how you want to define the word respect. Is longevity respect? Is, you know, coming home and having your family be proud of you respect? I don't know if what you're asking me is critical acclaim. You know, there are critics' darlings that I won't be. I got that.
When Bon Jovi's 3rd album, Slippery When Wet, debuted in 1986, Rolling Stone wrote that it sounded like bad 4th-generation metal. The album sold 25 million copies, and Bon Jovi got the last laugh.
One of the biggest albums of all time is called Slippery When Wet. It's, you know, if Living on a Prayer hasn't crossed generations and had its influence on this culture and isn't the biggest, you know, karaoke song or stadium song that's up there with anyone's ever, let me know, because it's just obviously not the truth.
He followed it up with 6 more platinum albums and enough hits to make his sold-out concerts among the hottest tickets in the music industry. In a business that's struggling to survive, Bon Jovi is still a cash cow, and no one works harder at it. 4 to 5 2.5-hour shows per week when he's on the road, with only a couple of 2-minute breaks to change clothes and cool off before going back on stage.
I have to think every night like I'm a prize fighter going out on that stage, that it's going to be the last fight. You'd think, why would I beat myself up like that after 25 years?
Why would you?
Because you want to be the best. I don't want to think that anyone's coming in there and going to be better tomorrow night.
That blue-collar work ethic to put on the best show possible has won him a loyal audience that generally prefers beer to wine, knows what they like, and could care less about the cognoscente. Bon Jovi likes to think that they're drawn to his honest, optimistic music, but he's not oblivious to his sex appeal, which is why he wears those tight jeans for all the ladies on their night out.
Who comes to Bon Jovi concerts?
Well, I think it's probably a 60-40 mix of girls to guys.
Why so many women, do you think?
They pay me for two things, singing and shaking my rear end. So hopefully that they're still coming and feeling good about themselves out in public and enjoying that euphoria with their friends.
At some point, that over the years must have posed a bit of a distraction for you, didn't it?
Well, sure. I mean, how can it not? They're beautiful to look at. But if the question is, why not indulge? Ultimately, I got it right the first time.
He's talking about his wife, Dorothea, a former high school sweetheart who he's been married to for 19 years. She makes it a point to keep herself and their 4 children out of the spotlight.
Does she understand all of this stuff?
Yeah, most definitely, because she's been through it with me since its inception.
I know she's talked about women like crawling over her to get to you.
That's true, but like I said, she's very self-assured and independent and strong-willed and knows who she is.
She also happens to be a black belt in karate. The family splits their time between New York, Long Island, and this sprawling estate on the Navesink River in the horse country of New Jersey.
I never would have figured you for a French chateau.
There you go. Never judge a book by its cover.
Bon Jovi says he and his wife wanted something timeless and classic, something understated, he joked, that they could grow into.
So this is the living room.
The living room. Do you do any living in here?
We actually really, truly do.
And with the push of a button, he showed us why. The floor parted, and from below emerged a giant screen that turned the parlor into a screening room.
That's what I call a big screen TV.
A little bit.
It is more than suitable for hosting titans of industry, entertainment moguls, and presidential candidates, all of which Bon Jovi has done here. And it serves as a signpost for just how rich, successful, and ambitious he's become. He has aspirations of one day owning part of an NFL franchise, which is one of the reasons he decided to buy the Philadelphia Soul of the Arena Football League back in 2004. Nostalgic for the days when players were accessible and tickets affordable, Bon Jovi has tried to recreate the era when a dad could take a bunch of neighborhood kids to a game and when sports franchises gave something back to the community.
Does the football team make enough money for you to be doing all this stuff in their name?
No.
Does it make any money at all?
No. But we're not losing a lot of money either. I didn't do it to make money. In fact, on paper, owning a sports team doesn't make any sense to anybody. It makes no sense. It's not economically viable.
So Bon Jovi made the team the umbrella of his philanthropic endeavors, like refurbishing 15 townhouses on what had been one of the worst streets in Philadelphia.
So 15 of them were built by the Soul?
Yeah.
That's an ambitious project for an arena football team.
That it is. That it is. The idea was I was going to take all the monies that we made and give it back and utilize it in ways that would affect the community. So initially I was playing Robin Hood, and if you needed a playground at a foster home, we built it. If you needed beds for a Covenant house, we gave them to you.
It helped make the Soul one of the most successful franchises in the league. And just a few hours after they won their home opener before 15,000 people at the Wachovia Center, the arena was being transformed for another Bon Jovi event. This time, it was his night job, another sold-out concert that was taking place on his 46th birthday. A few days later, the traveling circus with 92 employees and 27 truckloads of gear had moved west to Pittsburgh. And as with everything else in his life, Jon Bon Jovi is the ringmaster.
So what's your payroll?
Outdoors, it's a couple of million a week. Indoors, it's half of that. It's high. I mean, I get sick, man. There ain't no insurance for that, you know?
The story will continue after this.
John is the leader of this organization. It's defined. That's an advantage.
Richie Sambora is Bon Jovi's lead guitarist.
1985 Rolling Stone magazine reported that John was the only person who was actually on the record contract, and the rest of you were all employees of his.
That's true.
Is that still the same?
Still the same. It's the most unique position and the most unique thing in the record business, I think, to date. It shows you even more the solidarity of what this union is about.
Sambora, who has made up for Bon Jovi's absence from the gossip columns with a highly publicized divorce from Heather Locklear and troubles with alcohol, says no one in the band has ever regretted the arrangement.
Jon, he's the master of all. Philanthropic endeavors, sports teams, you know, songwriting, production, record production. The guy is a very, very smart man. Then on top of that, best brother a guy could ask for.
Really?
Very consistent, always, always. Played a big part and helped me out of my deluge over the last year, you know. Kept me up, kept me working.
The loyalty goes both ways, and Bon Jovi has made them rich beyond their wildest dreams. Sam Bora, drummer Tico Torres, and keyboardist Dave Bryan have been together for 26 years, since the earliest days on the Jersey Shore, and they remain among Bon Jovi's closest friends.
You guys seem to get along pretty well for a rock band.
We speak the same language. We've grown up in the same place. Jon and David and I were born by the same baby doctor in the same hospital.
It's a relationship that's closer than marriage. You know, we can't divorce each other, or the only way out of this band, I think, is death. That's about it.
It's taken them to London, Paris, Berlin, Tokyo, and a few years ago to Nashville for what many people thought was a high-risk venture into the world of country music. But a collaboration with Jennifer Nettles and Sugarland on a Bon Jovi song led to one of their biggest hits in years. Who Says You Can't Go Home became the first song ever written by a rock band to reach #1 on the country charts, and it won Bon Jovi a Grammy, a new audience, and another life. He thinks he still has a couple more to go.
My biography's only half written. This was just the opening act.
And what's the rest of the story going to be?
That's the beauty of it. I never was going to be a coulda, shoulda, woulda. Too many people have met her. I could have done that. I should have done that. I would have done that. Me, I said, let's go.